Hey everyone, it's Mona here at Klatch. Today we're going to be doing a light up resin piece, and it's going to be an underwater piece and it's going to light up, so this is kind of going to be a little bit of a larger piece than I typically do. I'll have the mold linked in the description below. I have mixed 3 ounces of the Easy Cast, and I have most of it in here. I took about a ½ ounce and split it into 3 little cups. Now in those 3 little cups, I'm going to take a little bit of this Resin Obsession Blue Transparent pigment, just a little bit. I just need a tiny bit. Little pigment goes a long way. Alright, and I'm going to mix that in. And then in these other ones, I'm going to take a little bit of the Pearl X pigment powders in various blues. Again, only need a tiny bit because it's very little resin. So I'm going to take the clear stuff, dump it in, I'm going to let it spread out, and I'm only looking for a thin layer on this first layer, so the 3 ounces seem to be kind of perfect. I'm going to hit it with my lighter, pop the bubbles, and then I'm going to take with my colored resin and this blue, I'm just going to create a swirl. Okay, just like this. Okay, that was just the plain blue. Now I'm going to use the pigment powders. Now this is the darker one, even though it doesn't look like it. And then the other one. Okay, so with the stir stick, all I'm going to do is kind of swirl these colors around. You just want sort of a wavy pattern in there. And I'm going to pop the bubbles. Now the next thing I'm going to add, they're crystal dazzlers, but all they are little plastic, almost like gems. They're not really shaped like diamonds, they're just sort of in a random shape, but I just want to put them on the bottom. And then we're going to let this cure for at least 12 hours before we come back. This first layer of resin has cured, and I'm going to take this holographic glitter paint, and I'm just going to take some on a brush and lightly go around, but it will dry perfectly clear and you'll see the beautiful glitter. Okay, what I'm going to do in the background, I'm going to use my glow-in-the-dark paint, and I'm just going to do 1 jellyfish in glow-in-the-dark paint. And I'm going to just let that dry. And that is not going to be very noticeable in the background. And I was debating what to do with the rocks. And I've taken some of the glow-in-the-dark paint and I've kind of just gobbed it on like some of the higher parts of the rocks, not the lower parts. I don't want everything to be glow-in-the-dark. I just want it to kind of highlight the top areas, because then the dark areas will be still dark because they won't be lit up, but they've got the glitter in there. Our paint has dried on our jellyfish and on the rocks below. Now I'm going to take just a little bit of that pigment, that blue pigment, and mix it in there. See, it just takes a little bit to kind of turn it blue. We don't want it crazy blue. And then I'm going to separate a couple of cups here. Now I'm going to pour that in, and I'll help it along. We want it everywhere. We want it over these rocks. And I'm going to take my pigment powders. I've got this blue, and then I have the other one, which I'm going to put just a little bit in. Now I'm going to just drip this around over the rocks, over the jellyfish, all over everything. So that was about 3 more ounces. Now I'm just going to swirl this back and forth a little bit, making sure I get all the way to the edges. Then I'm going to let it sit for a couple minutes, and then I'm going to hit it with my lighter. And then I'm going to let this cure a minimum of 12 hours before I come back. This layer of resin has cured, and so has the paint. Now I just wanted to tell you what I did with the mermaid. It's 2-sided, and I did that because this is actually going to be somewhat see-through, and I just didn't want, if somebody was looking at the back, to all of a sudden just see like this white silhouette of a mermaid. So here's the fish. I did the same thing with the fish. So what I did was pretty simple. I had my images and I printed it out, and then I printed out the flipped version, like the reflection of it. So I cut it out very carefully with my scissors, and then I laid them back to back. Now, no matter how hard you try, you're never going to get it 100% perfect, but you can get pretty darn close. And then I glued them together with just the stick glue. Now once it's dry, you're going to find that there's certain areas that you didn't cut it exactly the same, and maybe you'll have like a little border of white. So all I did with that is I either trimmed it if it was too much, or I just took a Sharpie marker and colored in the edges, which you could see here. I did the edges so it wasn't like a stark white edge, and on this particular one I had some extra white right along her side, and I just colored that in with the Sharpie marker too, so you wouldn't see that white border. Now the next thing we need to do is attach her to this, and what we're going to use is the Super Gloss Mod Podge. Now the Super Gloss Mod Podge is my personal choice when I'm working with resin, only because it has the least amount of film once it dries, and you can't hardly tell that it's there when you pour the next layer of resin. So I'm going to paint the back of her. And remember, when you're working with paper and resin, you want to make sure you seal it completely, because otherwise you're going to get dark spots, and that's not going to look very nice. So you want to make sure her edges are sealed, everything is sealed, and then I like to put some Mod Podge right down on whatever surface I'm doing. I'm going to leave the fish there just as a little reference point. Do the same with the fish. And then I go over the top. Also, when I did my test of the mermaid, I used just regular paper, but I did it on cardstock for the final one. And the nice thing about the cardstock is that it doesn't wrinkle when I put the Mod Podge on there. So that's one less thing I have to worry about, and if with it being two-sided, that's the last thing I want to have to worry about. Now, I also do, when I do the Mod Podge, is I put it everywhere. So you don't have this like aura of where the Mod Podge is, just in case it has a different look once you put the resin on. Again, the Super Gloss is pretty good. I haven't had a problem with it, but just in case, it's a good thing to do. So I will do 2, maybe 3 coats of this just to ensure that that mermaid is good and sealed, and the fish as well. And then you want to squeeze it down, make sure you get it well adhered to the background. Same with the fish. Let it completely dry and then go over it. Alright, I think things are looking pretty good, but I want to add just a little more detail, and I'm using that same glitter, and I'm just going to put a little bit of the glitter around the fish and around the mermaid. And now I'm just going to take a little bit and just do some little waves. But hopefully it'll add to the layering effect. Now I have 3 more ounces, but I'm going to pour a little bit of it into a separate cup, and the rest of it I'm going to just pour right over. Everything has dried on here. Now with this extra stuff, I have some little seashells, some teeny tiny little seashells that I have back from when I did Coco's doghouse. So I'm soaking the shells in here, hopefully so that the resin will get into all the cracks and crevices of the shells, and that will create fewer bubbles. And I have my tweezers, and I'm going to grab the shells with the tweezers, and I'm going to lay them on the top, because this would be like the bottom of the ocean, I guess. So I'm going to lay these on the top. Now the rest of this I'm just going to pour along the rocks. And take the lighter. You're going to want to come back several times, especially by the shells, because those are going to kick up some definite bubbles. Now I'm going to take some more of these and build up this bottom one more time on top of what we already have. I want it to look like it's glowing from within. Now to clean those tweezers, I'm just going to take some rubbing alcohol and clean them up that way. Okay, I have 3 more ounces of resin, and I'm going to pour it right over. Okay, then I'm going to add just some more of the little chunks. Okay, then you want to hit it with your lighter and let it cure. This is cured so we can take it out. Okay, so here's the back. I wanted this to be the front. And I've got some wispy things here that I'm just going to cut off with some scissors. Clean that up a little bit. I have my piece down on parchment paper, and I have some more Easy Cast. I did 3 ounces. I don't think it'll take 3, because all I need is a thin layer on top. So we'll let it spread out. I just want to be very careful that it doesn't run over the sides. So that is about 1 ounce. I want to make sure it gets to the edges. I don't need to put any more on the rocks. Then you just want to run your lighter over it, pop any bubbles, and then let it sit a minimum of 12 hours before you touch it. So here it is with the top layer. Now we need to create the base and add the lights. If you saw when I did the goldfish coaster and I created this base using the Shapecrete concrete, I'm doing the same thing. I actually did it because I knew this was coming up and I wanted to try it on a smaller scale. So that turned out very well, I thought. So I'm going to actually do it for this. Now, I have a light strip kit. It's an LED light strip kit, and it's way more than I need. I think I paid 15 or 16 bucks on Amazon. I'll have it linked in the description below. If anybody knows if you can use the stuff that you cut off or anything, let me know, because I'm going to have a lot left over, so I'd like to know how I can use it in the future. So the directions said that you can cut every 3 and be okay. So they have it marked. Okay, so the next one would be here. So it's going to be a little bit longer, but I think it'll be okay. So I'm going to cut it right where that line is. This thing is waterproof, and it comes with a remote, and it has all different kinds of fun settings. And this is the fade setting, where it changes colors and it fades. So that's going to go underneath, but I'm not going to show that to you yet. Now I'm going to use a little Scotch tape and tape this into place. I need to make sure that when I sink it into the concrete, that it's going to be able to fit in there nice and snug. And now, like we did when we had our fishbowl coaster, we're going to wrap it in saran wrap to protect it from the concrete. Okay, so we have a nice little package here. And now we just need to be aware of this. I'm going to put some tape over it, going both ways just to protect it. I'm wearing a dust mask, and what I need to do is mix the Shapecrete. I will have a link to this product in the description below, so if you want to find it, you can find it. And you can mix this to either a pourable concrete or a clay consistency, and I'm doing the clay consistency, which it requires a 4-to-1 ratio, 1 part water to 4 parts of the product. So I'm going to slowly add the Shapecrete into here, let it absorb, and just follow the directions right on the package. All right, once you have it mixed, I am going to be working on this silicone mat. You can work on foil. Now, what I need to do, put a clump down. You kind of just want to create a log. So I'm going to place it right in, and I want it standing straight. I don't want it leaning back. So I'm going to press it in. So just like this is perfect. I'm going to squish it to it a little bit. Press it down a little more. Now over here on this edge, I'm going to take the light kit and press it down. Now I want to carefully remove it. I'm going to take a brush and dip it into my pigment powder. I don't know how well this will adhere to the Shapecrete when it dries, but you know, you never know until you try. Just lay some plastic wrap over it as soon as I finish this. And then we'll let it dry. And just read the directions on how long things need to dry. So I have the base, which dried, and the pigment powder on here dried pretty light, and I like it. I think it's very pretty and subtle. And I have these resin sand dollars, shells, and starfish in clear. I have this mold, and whenever I had some extra resin, I just poured it in here, and I got this at the craft store. But I'll see if I can't find it at Amazon and see if I can link it in case you can't find it. So what I found was when I put the resin piece in here, it stands really well. But if somebody were to bump it a little bit, it'd fall over. So backwards. It always falls backwards. The base looks a little plain. I have these, so I thought they might be the perfect thing. I'm going to put the sand dollars in back because they're a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger, and 1 starfish. And then I'll just put the shells and a starfish on the front, and here are the shells. The other problem that we have is we have the actual light running a little bit further here, so I'm going to create a cap. So I need to wrap this part in the plastic wrap as I did before. So I have some of the Shape Crate mixed, and I'm just going to form it over this area to create a cap. And that will hide the cord, and we have the plastic wrap between it, so that'll create a separation. Now I'm going to brush a little bit of that same pigment powder over this, and then we'll let it dry. Okay, you guys, I feel like it's been a little bit of a long road to get here. So here's our light strip. I'm going to place that right in. Here is our mermaid. I'm going to put her on there. Now you guys are looking at the back. And then I have my cap right here. So we have that in the front and the back. So here we are. And this light is so cool. You can, have it do different things. Like you can have it flash. You can have it jump. You can have it fade into different colors. You can keep it at a specific light. So it's really cool. Now I'm going to turn the lights off so we can see what it looks like in the dark. Be sure to let me know what you think of the mermaid light in the comments below. I sure had a lot of fun doing it. Thank you guys so much for watching, subscribing, sharing, and giving me a thumbs up and commenting. I appreciate it. Thanks guys for coming back every week. I will see you next time. In the meantime, stay safe and happy crafting.